Soren, you're overreacting. Those messages weren't what you think.
Funny, you didn't say that last night when you thought I wasn't home.
The notification chimed at 11:47 p.m. Mira's location had changed again. I stared at my laptop screen, watching the little blue dot that represented my wife move from Henderson and Associates law firm to Riverside Hotel and Bar. The same hotel where she'd been 3 times this month for her supposed client meetings. My name is Soren Valden, and I'm a security systems specialist. 15 years of marriage taught me to trust my instincts, and 10 years in cybersecurity taught me how to verify them. The irony wasn't lost on me. I spend my days protecting other people's secrets while my wife thinks she can hide hers from me. I opened the shared tablet sync folder. Mira never was tech-savvy. She had no idea that her private messages were backing up to our shared cloud storage. The conversation thread with BD made for interesting reading. Mira, Soren's working late again. Room 412? BD, already here. Brought champagne. Mira, can't stay long. He tracks everything. BD, paranoid loser. When are you leaving him? Mira, soon. Just need to figure out the finances. Beck Derron, I'd figured out who BD was 2 weeks ago. Mira's college boyfriend, now married to a woman named Ayla Derrick. He owned some boutique gym downtown called Urban Fight Club. Real original. The funny thing about being a security specialist is that people assume you're just a tech guy who fixes cameras and installs alarms. They don't realize that half my job involves investigating employee theft, corporate espionage, and insurance fraud. I know how to dig up information, how to document evidence, and how to build an airtight case. I'd been building one against my wife for 3 weeks. My phone buzzed. Text from Mira. Working late with the Henderson team, don't wait up. Love you. I typed back, love you too. Drive safe. Then I opened my project cleanup folder and got to work. First, I pulled up Beck's social media profiles, public Instagram, Facebook posts about his gym, photos with his wife Ayla at charity events. She looked sharp, professional. According to LinkedIn, she was a financial auditor for a mid-size accounting firm. Smart woman. Probably had no idea her husband was cheating. I felt bad for her. Nobody deserves to be played for a fool. I started typing an email. Subject, information you should know. Mrs. Derrick, you don't know me, but I believe we have something in common. I've attached some screenshots and location data that I think you'll find interesting. Check your husband's gym bag for his second phone. The password is probably your anniversary date. Cheaters aren't very creative. A concerned spouse, I attached the message screenshots, hotel receipts I'd found on our shared credit card, and GPS logs showing Beck's car at the Riverside Hotel during his supposed training sessions. My finger hovered over the send button for exactly 3 seconds. Then I clicked it. Phase 1. Complete. My phone rang. Mira's ringtone. Hey, babe, I answered, keeping my voice casual. How's the Henderson project going? Oh, you know, same old stuff, contracts and depositions. Her voice was slightly breathless. We're just wrapping up now. In the background, I heard a man's laugh. Deep, cocky. Beck's laugh based on the video clips I'd found on his gym's website. Sounds like you're having fun, I said. What? No, it's just, we're in the conference room and Tom was telling a joke about, Tom Henderson is 73 years old, Mira. That's not Tom's laugh. Silence. Soren, don't. Just don't. Come home when you're ready to tell the truth. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. No point in listening to more lies. My laptop chimed. New email. From aderek.cpaogmail.com. Subject, RE. Information you should know. Thank you. I found the phone. We need to talk. I'm coming to your address. Got it from the reverse lookup. Be there in 20 minutes. Ayla. I looked around our apartment. Tastefully decorated, mostly by Mira. 2 home offices, mine cluttered with computer equipment and case files, hers sterile and organized like a magazine spread. Separate closets. We'd been living like roommates for months, and I'd been too busy working to notice when it started. Time to clean house. I moved anything valuable to my office and locked the door. Set up my portable security camera in the living room, angled to catch the front door and couch. If this was going to get messy, I wanted documentation. 22 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Ayla Derrick was prettier in person than in photos, but she looked furious. She held up a silver iPhone. "Is this yours?" she asked. "Nope, but I'm guessing you found some interesting reading material." She stepped inside without being invited. 3 months of messages, hotel reservations, plans to leave their spouses, and this. She scrolled to a message and handed me the phone. "Beck. Ayla's got the house, but I can clean out the business accounts before she notices. We'll have enough to start over. Mira. What about Soren? He'll figure it out eventually. Beck. Guy's a glorified security guard. By the time he knows what hit him, we'll be in Mexico." I read it twice. Glorified security guard. That stung more than it should have. "They're planning to rob you," I said, "and abandon you." Ayla sat down on our couch without being asked. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Before I could answer, I heard Mira's key in the lock. Mira walked through the door, talking into her phone. "Told you he's suspicious. We need to move faster." She stopped when she saw Ayla sitting on our couch. "Soren? Who is this?" "Ayla Derrick," I said. "Beck's wife. We've been having an interesting conversation about your evening plans." Mira's face went white. She ended her call without saying goodbye. "I can explain." "Please do." I gestured to the chair across from Ayla. "We're all ears." Mira remained standing, her purse clutched against her chest like armor. "It's not what you think." "Really?" Ayla held up the silver phone. "Because according to this, you and my husband have been planning to clean out our bank accounts and flee to Mexico. That seems pretty straightforward to me." "That's not." He was joking about Mexico. "We weren't actually." "Sit down, Mira." My voice came out harder than I'd intended. She sat. I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. "Let's start with the basics. Hotel receipts from our joint credit card. 23 charges at the Riverside Hotel in the past 2 months. Average stay, 3 hours. Mira stared at the screen. Those were client meetings. Room service charges for champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries to a law firm conference room. We were celebrating closing cases. Which cases? I clicked to the next screen. Because I called Henderson and Associates yesterday, pretended to be a potential client, asked about their recent victories. They haven't closed a major case in 4 months. Ayla leaned forward. Show her the messages. I pulled up the screenshot folder. These are from your tablet, Mira, automatically synced to our shared cloud storage. 3 months of planning your new life with Beck. I read them aloud, watching her face crumble with each message. The explicit ones about what they did in hotel rooms, the financial planning messages about liquidating assets, the ones where they called Ayla and me obstacles to overcome. "The Mexico thing was a fantasy," Mira whispered. "We weren't really going to take our money and disappear." Ayla's voice was ice cold. "Because Beck's been moving funds out of our joint accounts for 6 weeks. Small amounts, but they add up. I checked this afternoon. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories." I clicked to another folder. "GPS logs from your phone, Mira. Every time you said you were working late, you were at Beck's gym or that hotel. Every single time." "You've been spying on me?" "I've been protecting myself. Good thing, considering you were planning to clean out our accounts and leave me with the bills." Mira looked between us, trapped. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I didn't plan to fall in love again. "Love?" Ayla laughed bitterly. "You think Beck loves you? He's been cheating on me for 2 years. You're just the latest in a long line. That's not true. Want to bet? Ayla scrolled through the phone. Here's a message thread with someone named Jennifer from last year. Same hotel, same promises to leave his wife. And here's one with a woman named Lisa from the year before that. Mira's face went gray. The doorbell rang. We all froze. Expecting someone? I asked Mira. She shook her head. I checked the security app on my phone. The front door camera showed Beck Derron holding a bouquet of roses and a bottle of wine. Well, I said, this should be interesting. I opened the door before he could ring again. Soren. Beck looked surprised to see me. He was bigger than I'd expected, with the build of someone who'd been athletic once, but was going soft around the edges. Is Mira ready? Ready for what? We're going to dinner. She texted me. He stopped when he saw Ayla sitting on my couch. What's she doing here? Having a conversation about your evening plans, I said. Come on in, join the party. Beck stepped inside cautiously. Ayla, what are you doing here? She held up his phone. Reading your messages. That's private property. So is the $15,000 you've been stealing from our business account. Beck's jaw tightened. I wasn't stealing. I was making investments. In hotel rooms and jewelry for your girlfriend? Mira's not my girlfriend, she's… The love of your life? I interrupted. The woman you're going to run away to Mexico with? Or just another mark in your long-term con game? Beck looked at Mira. What did you tell them? I didn't tell them anything. He's been spying on us. Documenting evidence, I corrected. There's a difference. Beck set down the roses and wine. Look, this doesn't have to get ugly. We can work something out. You're right, I said. It doesn't have to get ugly. Here's what's going to happen. I walked to my desk and pulled out a manila folder. Separation papers, I said, handing them to Mira. Already filed with the court. I'm keeping the apartment, the car, and my business accounts. You can have your personal accounts and whatever you brought into the marriage. Mira stared at the papers. You can't just… I can. I also froze our joint credit cards and removed you as an authorized user. As of 1 hour ago, you no longer have access to my money. Beck stepped forward. You can't do that. Watch me. I turned to Ayla. I assume you'll be taking similar steps? She stood up, suddenly looking taller and more formidable. Already done. I filed for separation this afternoon. Beck's been locked out of our accounts, and I've documented his theft from the business. The gym's board of directors will be getting a full report on Monday. You can't take my business, Beck said. It's not your business. It's a partnership, and I'm the majority shareholder. I'm also the one who's been doing the actual financial management while you were playing around. Beck's face was turning red. This is insane. You're both overreacting. Are we? I opened my laptop again. Let me read you something interesting. This is from last week. I found the message and read it aloud. Beck to Mira. Once we get their money, we won't have to worry about them anymore. They'll be too broke and humiliated to cause us problems. That was taken out of context, Mira said weakly. What context makes theft and abandonment acceptable? No one answered. I closed the laptop. Here's what happens now. Mira, you sign those papers and find somewhere else to stay tonight. Beck, you stay away from both of us, or I'll make sure everyone in this city knows what kind of man you really are. You're making a mistake, Beck said. Both of you. We could have worked this out like adults. Adults don't steal from their spouses, Ayla said. Adults don't lie for months about where they're spending their time. Adults don't plan to abandon the people who trusted them. She walked to the door. I'll be in touch about the business assets, Beck, through lawyers. Beck followed her. Ayla, wait, we can talk about this. No, we can't. She turned back to look at him. 15 years of marriage and you threw it away for what? A few months of excitement? A chance to feel young again? It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. She looked at Mira. Good luck. You're going to need it when you realize what kind of man you chose. Ayla left, closing the door firmly behind her. Beck turned to Mira. Pack a bag. We'll figure this out. Where are we going to go? Mira asked. You heard what she said about the business accounts. I've got money saved. Stolen money, I corrected. Beck glared at me. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. I held up my phone. I've been recording this entire conversation. Anything you do to harass me or Ayla will be documented and reported. He looked like he wanted to say more, but Mira was already heading toward our bedroom. I'll get my things, she said. 20 minutes later, they were gone. I sat alone in my apartment, listening to the silence. 15 years of marriage ended in one evening. I should have felt sad or angry or something. Instead, I felt relieved, and I was just getting started. The next morning, I called in sick to work and got busy. First stop, Henderson and Associates law firm. I'd done security consulting for them 2 years ago, which gave me an excuse to drop by. I brought coffee and pastries for the staff, playing the role of the friendly vendor checking in on old clients. How's Mira working out? I asked Janet, the office manager, while she sorted through legal briefs. Mira who? My wife, Mira Valden. She's been doing contract work for you guys, late nights, client meetings. Janet looked confused. We haven't hired any contract attorneys in 6 months, and we certainly haven't had any late-night client meetings. Mr. Henderson doesn't work past 5 anymore. Huh. She must have gotten her wires crossed about which firm she was working with. Must have. I left the pastries and drove to my next destination, Urban Fight Club. Beck's gym was in a trendy part of downtown, wedged between a craft brewery and an organic juice bar. The front windows were covered with posters advertising real fighting for real people and no mercy training. Inside, the space was all exposed brick and industrial lights. A few guys were working the punching bags, and someone was straining through lifts in the corner. Beck stood behind the front desk, talking to a younger guy covered in tattoos. He saw me coming, and his face hardened. We're closed, he said. Sign says you're open until 9. We're closed to you. The tattooed guy looked between us, sensing tension. Everything okay, boss? Fine, Tito. Take your break. Tito disappeared into the back room, leaving us alone. What do you want? Beck asked. Just wanted to see the place that was worth destroying 2 marriages for. I didn't destroy anything. Your marriage was over long before I came back into the picture. Is that what you told yourself? Or is that what you told Mira? Beck came around the desk. Up close, he was bigger than me, but I dealt with plenty of tough guys in my line of work. Most of them were all show. You need to leave, he said. Public place. I'm a potential customer. I looked around the gym. Nice setup. Must cost a lot to maintain. Rent, utilities, insurance, payroll. What's your point? Just wondering how you're going to afford it now that Ayla's cut off your access to the business accounts. His jaw tightened. That's temporary. She'll come around. Will she? Because I heard she's meeting with the board of directors tomorrow. Something about financial irregularities and breach of fiduciary duty. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that stealing from your own business is a crime. I also know that Ayla's got documentation going back months. Bank records, withdrawal slips, credit card statements. I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot. This is from your conversation with Mira last week. Clean out the business accounts before she notices. That's premeditation, Beck. That's not impulse or poor judgment. That's calculated theft. He grabbed for my phone, but I pulled it back. Careful. Assault charges won't help your case. Get out. Sure thing. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, one more thing. You might want to check your Yelp reviews. Someone's been leaving some interesting comments about your business practices. I left him standing there and drove home. That evening, I got a call from Red Martinez, my coworker and the closest thing I had to a best friend. Heard you called in sick, he said. You okay? Mira and I separated. Damn, man, I'm sorry. What happened? I gave him the short version. Red listened without interrupting, which was one of the reasons I liked him. So, what's your next move? He asked. I'm thinking about expanding my skill set. Meaning? Meaning Mira's been lying to her employer about where she spends her time, claiming to work late on cases that don't exist. That's timesheet fraud. You're going to get her fired? I'm going to let her employer know that they might want to audit her recent billing. What they do with that information is up to them. That's cold, man. She was planning to steal my money and disappear. This is just returning the favor. Red was quiet for a moment. You need backup for anything, let me know. Thanks. I might take you up on that. The next morning, I sent an anonymous email to the managing partner at Mira's law firm. I attached screenshots of her text messages about fake late-night client meetings, along with hotel receipts showing she was elsewhere during hours she'd billed to the firm. Then I drove to the Riverside Hotel. The day manager was a thin, nervous-looking guy named Pete, who recognized me from my security consulting work. Soren, good to see you. What brings you by? Actually, I'm hoping you can help me with something. My wife's been having some meetings here, but she lost her receipts for tax purposes. Room 412, usually afternoon bookings. Pete checked his computer. Yeah, I see the bookings, but these were paid for by a Beck Derron, not your wife. Right, he's her business partner. Can you print out the receipts? She needs them for her expense reports. Sure thing. Pete printed out 3 months of hotel receipts. Beck had been paying for the room, but Mira had been billing her law firm for client meetings during the same time slots. Double billing. That was a felony. I thanked Pete and drove to my storage unit across town. I'd rented it the week before, paying cash for 6 months in advance. Inside, I'd set up a small office with a desk, filing cabinets, and a secure internet connection. I spent the rest of the day organizing evidence. Financial records, message screenshots, hotel receipts, GPS logs, witness statements. Everything organized by date and cross-referenced by topic. If this was going to be a war, I wanted superior intelligence. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Mira. We need to talk. I typed back. Talk to my lawyer. I don't have money for a lawyer. You froze everything. Should have thought of that before you planned to rob me. It wasn't like that. Beck said we were just protecting ourselves. From what? From you finding out and taking everything? I stared at that message for a long time. In Mira's mind, I was the villain for discovering her affair. She was the victim for getting caught. Where are you staying? I typed. Beck's gym. He has an apartment upstairs. How romantic. Soren, please. Can we meet, just to talk? I thought about it. Then I had a better idea. Tomorrow night, Riverside Hotel Bar, 7 p.m. Thank you. I put the phone away and got back to work. I wasn't planning to reconcile. I was planning to finish this. I arrived at the Riverside Hotel Bar 15 minutes early and chose a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. The place was busy enough to provide cover, but quiet enough for conversation. Perfect. I'd invited more than just Mira. Red showed up first, sliding into the booth across from me. You sure about this? Positive. Just stay close and keep your phone recording. Ayla arrived next, looking professional in a dark business suit. She'd agreed to help after I'd explained my plan. Beck doesn't know you're here? I asked. He thinks I'm at my sister's house, crying into a bottle of wine. She smiled grimly. Men always underestimate women's capacity for strategic thinking. Mira walked in at exactly 7 p.m., scanning the room until she spotted me. She looked tired, older somehow. 3 days of living above a gym had taken their toll. She stopped when she saw Ayla. What is she doing here? Sit down, Mira. She remained standing. This was supposed to be private. Nothing about your affair was private. Sit down. She sat, but kept glancing toward the door. Where's Beck? Not invited. This is between us. That was a lie. I'd sent Beck a message from Mira's phone an hour ago, telling him to meet her here at 7:30. He had no idea what he was walking into. "I want to work things out," Mira said. "I made mistakes, but we can fix this." "What mistakes?" I asked. "The affair, the lying. I know it was wrong." "What about the theft?" "What theft?" I pulled out a folder and spread documents across the table. Hotel receipts, timesheet records, billing statements. "You've been billing your law firm for client meetings that never happened. While you were in hotel rooms with Beck, you were charging your employer for legal work. That's fraud, Mira." Her face went white. "That's not... I was working on cases." "Which cases?" Ayla leaned forward. "Because I called Henderson and Associates yesterday. They haven't had any major cases in months, and they've never authorized after-hours client meetings at hotels." "You called my employer?" "I called them too," I said. "Anonymously. Sent them copies of these receipts and your billing records. They're conducting an internal audit." Mira stared at the documents. "You're trying to get me fired." "I'm exposing fraud. There's a difference." "This is insane. You're destroying my career over a relationship problem." "You destroyed your career when you decided to steal from your employer. I'm just documenting it." Red shifted in his seat, keeping his phone positioned to record the conversation. Across the bar, I spotted Beck walking through the entrance. "Your boyfriend's here," I said. Mira turned to look. Beck saw our table, and his expression darkened. He approached slowly, taking in the scene. "What's this?" "Family meeting," I said. "Pull up a chair." "I'm not family." "You're right. You're a thief and a con artist. But you're Mira's problem now, so that makes you relevant." Beck looked at the document spread across the table. "What is this stuff?" "Evidence," Ayla said. "Financial records, hotel receipts, billing fraud documentation." "Billing fraud?" "Mira's been charging her law firm for client meetings while she was in hotel rooms with you," I explained. "Double billing. It's a felony." Beck looked at Mira. "You said you were using vacation time." "I was working on cases." "No, you weren't." I pulled out my phone and played an audio recording. Mira's voice, clear and distinct. "I told them I was meeting with the Henderson client, but really I'm just going to spend the afternoon with Beck." "You recorded our phone calls?" Mira's voice was barely a whisper. "I recorded everything. Phone calls, text messages, hotel visits, financial transactions. 3 months of documentation." Beck sat down heavily. "This is entrapment. This is evidence gathering, and it gets better." I nodded to Red, who pulled out his own phone. "Beck Derron," Red said. "You're under citizen's arrest for theft of business funds and conspiracy to commit fraud." "What?" "Just kidding," Red said. "But I did want to see your face." I pulled out another folder. "Ayla's been busy too. Show them what you found." Ayla spread out bank statements and business records. "Beck's been systematically stealing from our gym's operating accounts for 8 months. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. Total theft, $47,000. "That's not theft," Beck protested. "I'm a partner in the business." "You're a minority partner with no authority to make unilateral withdrawals, and you've been hiding the transactions from me and the board." "The board met this afternoon," I added. "They voted to terminate your partnership and pursue criminal charges." Beck's face was red now. "You can't do this." "Already done. Security escorted you out of the gym 2 hours ago. Didn't you get the message?" He pulled out his phone, checking for missed calls. "Your key card's been deactivated too," Ayla said. "And I changed the locks on the apartment upstairs." "Where am I supposed to stay?" "Not my problem." Mira looked between them. "What about our plans?" "What plans?" Beck snapped. "Everything's ruined." "We can still leave town, start over somewhere else." "With what money? They froze everything." I watched them turn on each other, exactly as I'd hoped. Desperation made people reveal their true selves. "This is all your fault," Mira told Beck. "You said you had everything figured out." My fault? You're the one who got caught billing fraud. Because you convinced me to lie about the hotel meetings. I didn't convince you to do anything. You wanted to spend time with me. I wanted to feel appreciated. You said you loved me. I do love you. Then why aren't you fighting for us? Beck looked around the table, taking in our faces. Because it's over. They win. He stood up and walked away, leaving Mira sitting alone. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. 15 years of marriage, and this is how it ends? It ended when you decided to betray me, I said. This is just the paperwork. I never meant for it to go this far. But you did mean to steal my money and disappear. She didn't answer. I gathered up the documents and stood. The separation papers are final. You have 30 days to contest them, but I wouldn't recommend it. I've got enough evidence to bury you in court. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem. Ayla and Red followed me out of the bar, leaving Mira alone at the table. That was brutal, Red said once we were outside. That was justice, I corrected. What happens now? Ayla asked. Now we wait and see how they handle the consequences. But I wasn't really planning to wait. I had one more move to make. 3 days later, Beck's gym was hosting its monthly Fight Night event. Local amateur boxers, mixed martial arts demonstrations, and a crowd of people who thought they were tougher than they actually were. I'd bought a ticket online, using a fake name and paying cash. The place was packed, standing room only, with a boxing ring set up in the center and folding chairs arranged in rows around it. Beck was working the crowd, trying to act like everything was normal. But I could see the stress in his face, the way his smile didn't reach his eyes. Word was getting around about his financial problems and the partnership dispute. Mira was there too, standing near the back wall, looking uncomfortable in the testosterone-heavy environment. I'd spent the past 3 days making final preparations. Anonymous tips to local reporters about the gym's financial irregularities. Social media posts on neighborhood forums about Beck's business practices. A few carefully placed comments on review sites. Nothing actionable, nothing that could be traced back to me. Just information, shared in the right places at the right times. The crowd was getting restless, waiting for the main event. Beck stepped into the ring with a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Urban Fight Club's monthly showcase. Scattered applause. Tonight, we've got some great matches lined up, featuring some of the toughest fighters in the city. More applause, but I could sense the crowd's energy was off. People were checking their phones, whispering to each other. That's when I made my move. I stood up from my seat in the middle section and raised my hand. Question for the management. Beck squinted into the crowd, trying to locate the voice. When he spotted me, his face went pale. I was wondering, I said, projecting my voice so everyone could hear, if you could clarify some of the recent news reports about this establishment. The crowd turned to look at me, then back at Beck. What news reports? Someone called out. I pulled out my phone and read from the screen. Quote, Urban Fight Club under investigation for financial irregularities and partner disputes. That was from the City Business Journal yesterday. Murmurs from the crowd. And this one from the neighborhood blog. Local gym owner accused of misappropriating business funds. Beck tried to regain control. Those are just rumors. Are they? I interrupted. Because I also have copies of court filings showing that your business partnership has been dissolved and you've been locked out of the company accounts. The crowd was getting restless. These were people who'd paid money for entertainment, not a business ethics seminar. Sir, you need to sit down, Beck said into the microphone. Actually, I think people deserve to know what kind of business they're supporting. I looked around the crowd. How many of you have gym memberships here? Personal training contracts? Equipment rentals? Several hands went up. You might want to check on the status of those contracts, because according to public records, this business is in serious financial trouble. That got their attention. Nothing motivates people like the possibility of losing money they've already spent. Beck jumped down from the ring and started pushing through the crowd toward me. You need to leave, now. Public venue, public event, I'm just asking questions. You're disrupting my business. Your business disrupted itself when you started stealing from the operating accounts. The crowd was buzzing now, people pulling out phones to look up the news reports I'd mentioned. In the age of social media, rumors spread faster than wildfire. This man is lying, Beck announced to the room. He's got a personal vendetta against me. Do I? I pulled out a folder. Because I've got bank records showing systematic withdrawals from business accounts without board approval. I've got hotel receipts showing company funds used for personal entertainment. I've got... Beck lunged at me, but Red appeared from somewhere in the crowd and stepped between us. Easy there, champ, Red said. No need to prove his point about your anger management issues. The crowd was starting to thin out. People were heading for the exits, talking among themselves about membership refunds and contract cancellations. Ayla appeared at the edge of the ring. She'd been waiting in the parking lot for my signal. Ladies and gentlemen, she called out. For those of you with financial concerns about this establishment, I'm Ayla Derrick, the majority partner in this business. I'll be in the office tomorrow morning to discuss membership transfers and refunds. You can't do that, Beck protested. I can and I am. The board voted to dissolve your ownership stake and transfer operations to new management. What new management? Me. Beck looked around the room, realizing that his empire was crumbling in real time. The crowd had dwindled to maybe 20 people, most of them heading for the door. This isn't over, he said. Yeah, it is. I closed my folder and headed for the exit. Enjoy your new career. Outside, Red and Ayla caught up with me in the parking lot. That was either brilliant or completely insane, Red said. Maybe both. What happens now? Ayla asked. Now Beck learns what it's like to lose everything he thought was secure. Mira learns that actions have consequences, and we move on with our lives. You don't feel bad about destroying them? I thought about that for a moment. They destroyed themselves. I just documented the process. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. You think you won, but this isn't over. B. I showed the message to Red and Ayla. Want me to report this? Red asked. Nah, let him make threats. Everything's documented, remember? I deleted the message and put my phone away. Come on, I said. I'll buy you both dinner. We've got some celebrating to do. As we walked to our cars, I caught a glimpse of Mira through the gym's front window. She was standing alone in the empty space, looking lost and confused. For just a moment, I felt something that might have been pity. Then I remembered the messages about cleaning out my accounts and leaving me too broke and humiliated to cause problems. The feeling passed. I'd spent 15 years building a life with someone who was planning to destroy me for her own convenience. Now she knew how that felt. They'd wanted a villain. I'd given them one. And I'd enjoyed every minute of it. The scoreboard was clear. Soren Valden, winner by technical knockout. Game over.